SSM News Echoes Between the Lines is a lively conversation program on news updates every Monday at 8 p.m. UK time, 8 p.m. Nigerian time, and 9 p.m. Central European time, giving real-time updates as they affect Africans all over the globe.
Hello, viewers around the world. It's a beautiful day out here in Milan, Italy. My name is Mark Godwin, and I'm here on our Monday update program, Between the Lines. Between the Lines is a production of SSM. It's to keep you updated, featuring top news analysis, deciphering world events, and we are here to do the same. I have my colleagues in different parts of the world. In Lagos, Nigeria, is our big brother, Ogbeni Olayinkaraji. You're welcome to Between the Lines.
Good evening, my job, and good evening, viewers across the world. Welcome to our Between the Lines program on Mondays.
Yes, you look like you've just had a wonderful week of Ileya and the Eid al-Kabir holiday and all of that. How was it,
Yes,
big brother?
I just came back from the village. It was refreshing. It was a
Nice.
refreshing difference, seeing family members and coming together for a social gathering.
Nice. That was good. Okay, joining us, Raji, is also our brothers, our men, our coordinators. Far away, Toronto, Canada, is the big man, Sajo Chukwu. You're welcome to Between the Lines, Monday, 24th June.
Good afternoon, Massive Mark from Toronto, Canada, and viewers from around the world. And I say good afternoon, Olayinka Raji, all the way from Nigeria. So it's going to be good evening over there right now. Some viewers who want to welcome you to our show today. It's going to be a fantastic one. Stay tuned with us.
Stay tuned with us. Now, this is all bones. We need some flesh to add to this. I mean, you can't have this without one diva in our midst. All right, guys. So, in far away London, UK, it's our diva, Fiona Akanu. You're welcome to Between the Lines.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, viewers around the world. It's lovely to be here.
It's lovely to be here. It's good to see you. Like were you in a banquet or something?
No. No.
Okay, gentlemen, lady. A lot has been happening. But let's take it one by one. What we'll do is skip some of this news that we need. Probably our friend and coordinator from Russia. Let's come to something that happened during the weekend. This is off the radar now. That was a beautiful program in Toronto, Canada, and I was part of it because SSM did the live coverage. Now, it went real viral because people are curious. So, George, tell us, what was that thing happening in Canada during the weekend?
Well, this last weekend, we call it the Biafran War Memorial Event, just like, the Holocaust that happened with the Jews. They still commemorate those that died, during the war. And in the same spirit, Canada, Igbo Canadian Community Association in Canada, they have been observing this since 1971.
Okay.
And we that are the current leaders in this organization, we decided to make sure that it is kept alive. Okay. So that's what happened. Now, a lot of people were even asking questions when they hear the Biafra there. They always assume that this has to do with IPOB, but it has nothing to do with IPOB whatsoever. It is just a memorial event that we put together to remember the 3 million people that died during the Nigerian Biafran War. And most of those people died as a result of the weapon of hunger that was perpetrated against the nation in order for them to be defeated. So those are the things that we do. We have no affiliation whatsoever with what IPOB does or with their narratives or whatever. This is an independent organization. All Igbos are involved, but we have decided that we will not forget those that died. As much as Nigeria as a whole wants to silence the whole entire thing and let none of the children know anything about the history, we will do it here because it's a memorial event and it is worthwhile and we're doing it very well.
George, That was very insightful. Fiona and Raji, do you guys have? I know some of your Fiona said she was there too. She was watching. Do you have questions on that? Because, like I said, people are curious. We're in a time when facts are being mixed up. People are mumbling up informations in the wrong way and creating confusion for themselves. So, like George just did now, it's beautiful. Fiona, what will you say about this?
I think for me, the biggest surprise was the fact that it's been going on since 1971. I was actually quite impressed because I did actually watch. I've actually discussed it with Sir George. I actually did watch the program of events, and I was actually surprised that it had been going on that length of time. In terms of confusion about what happened, for a person like me, there isn't really much confusion about what happened because I was fortunate to be the child of someone who survived Biafra, and I've heard many personal tales about what happened. So I'm not really confused about that. It's good that we're highlighting the fact that this is nothing to do with IPOB, because I think that when people hear the word Biafra, people immediately think, oh my goodness, these people, oh, they're extremists, all this sort of thing. So I think it's very important that making it the clear difference between what was happening there in Canada and what IPOB stands for. I think it's important to make a clear distinction. So I'm really glad that Sir George and his team are actually making it quite clear.
That's good. Thank you. Reggie, yes, you experienced the war in another form, and don't you think it's ideal that we have a day set aside, not as a tribe now, but as a national day set aside, because we're part of the Nigeria now. Then a day set aside to commemorate these soldiers, these people, this tribe, this part of Nigeria. Raji?
I really go with what Lady Fiona just said, that there's a clear distinction between the Biafra and IPOB. And that distinction is very, very clear. I'm a man of history, and I'm very, very interested in the history of the events that led to the unfortunate, unnecessary civil war. I always say that it is unnecessary and it was preventable. But egos were rife, emotions were too rife, and a lot of evil was done to the people of the Southeast. A lot of evil was done to them. A lot of
evil was done to the people of the Southeast.
I'll be very, very happy if that history is made very, very clear. Okay. I heard Sir George mention something about using hunger or starvation as a tool of war. I don't think that history is very, very correct. I would not want to start splitting hairs, but I remember that when I read the details of that thing, it became clear to me that something had to be done, because first, the East was seriously unprepared for the war, and everything was done against them even surviving. But surprisingly, they kept on surviving month after month, year after year, and the war became contrived for a period of 3 years. At a point, that war had to stop, just like the war happening in Ukraine. That war had to stop so that they would limit the suffering of the people, especially the civilians and the youth and the children, who were caught between unnecessary ego of adults who could not control themselves. I think that history has to be made clear. It was not a deliberate thing to use starvation as a tool of war, but it became necessary because at that time, more than 90% of the relief materials sent to the civilians were being diverted to the military and keeping the military and the soldiers fresh and alive.
Okay. You know what, George has a plan. George has a program coming to Talking Drums.
Okay.
And he's going to be
is a place where we're going to drum beat the truth about every situation.
About everything.
So what I want to do is, I know I understand where you're coming from, that it might not have been. This is what you were hearing, but Awolowo, I will find that article where Awolowo specifically said that this is what we are going to do to make sure that they don't get any food, that's the only way to stifle and to destroy them. I will find that article, and he came in your own time. I don't want to waste that time on this particular program now. Everybody to be joining us on July 15th. That's when the show is coming. July 15th, we're gonna come back with talking drums. I'm talking drums, the drum beat of the truth. We don't hide nothing. We leave no stones unturned. We tell it like it is and tell you our mind, our personal opinion also. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
I'll be very, very glad if you could invite me on that program.
No problem. We will.
Yes.
No problem.
All right, guys, let's move on. Let's move on. Nice one. Viewers, you're tuned into SSM Between the Lines Monday. And something is happening, Raji. Last time we were talking about it, I think a follow-up should be done today. It's now in Ogun State. And what is it? Cholera. Cholera is spreading, Raji. What do you have on that story? What we have from our studio is that 2 people are dead right now in Ogun State. That's southwest of Nigeria. And there are about 25 cases from different local governments. Now, take note that Lagos was recording about 22 deaths as of last week, but today it is now 35 deaths, Lagos, and 500 and something suspected cases. Now, because of this outbreak of cholera, the Federal Ministry of Environment in Nigeria is telling people to avoid drinking locally prepared drinks like Fura Dununu. There's a drink called Fura Dununu. There's a drink called Zobo. There's a drink called Kunu. There's Cocoa.
Actually, it has been traced to tiger nut drinks. Yes, tiger nuts.
Tiger nuts. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I think Kunu and Zobo, their preparation go to a lot of heating, of heating up, warming, but not with the tiger nut. Tiger nut is done and then it is frozen. If you don't freeze it fast enough, it's likely to be contaminated. So I think they trace the source to tiger nut drinks.
Fiona?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I think, of course, our condolences go to all the people who have lost their lives, because it can be quite a rapid degeneration when you contract cholera. So, I mean, and obviously for people who are, immunocompromised, the elderly, people that are really young, this is obviously quite dangerous. When we spoke about it at first, it was kind of like, oh, well, it's not really that serious. I think anything that is happening in Nigeria that's contagious is serious, because there's so many of us, and some of us live in conditions that are quite close together, quite closely knit, quite, we're literally on top of each other all the time. I think that's really important. I want to applaud the Ogun State government for the efforts that they're making to kind of contain it. I think I understand that the two confirmed people in Ogun State, they actually have traced them back to having come in from Lagos recently. But the thing that I was quite impressed with was that the health minister has said that, might not be the health minister, maybe somebody in charge of health in Ogun State has said that healthcare is going to be free at the point of need for anybody who is reporting at the hospitals with these symptoms. Now, in theory, this is fantastic. That's how a system should work. I really, I want to applaud them, but I want to encourage the powers that be to make sure that they're making sure that people are able to access this treatment free of charge. And to also encourage people that are unwell to get it. They've supplied kits to the local healthcare providers, etc., etc. So the testing should be done quite quickly. I want to just appeal to the healthcare providers to not use this as a means to raise money, make money, make all these things that we are, we can be involved in. That's the appeal, because this is something quite serious. So this
is something quite serious. Viewers, thank you, Fiona. Serious. Cholera in Lagos. Now it's in Ogun State. People are dying. They are telling us to please avoid. All safety measures should be put in place. And the drink. Now, Raji has said it is, what was that drink, Raji? What's the
Tiger
drink?
nut. Tiger nut drink. Tiger nut.
But what we got this evening from direct from Federal Ministry of Environment is that Kunu, Zobo, Fradinono, Cocoa are all to be avoided for now if you can. George, are you following that story?
Yeah, I mean, I'm following it briefly. I just want to, extend my condolences to those that lost their lives in this situation. And I believe that the government is doing the best they can to stop it, actually. During the days of the pandemic, when COVID-19 came, I saw what Nigeria did, and also during the other event that they say came from Africa, from monkeys, that was happening in Liberia. Yes. So, yeah, we saw how tight Nigeria held the whole entire place and was able to prevent, the spreading of such diseases. So, and even with, what do you call it? The one, which other sexual, AIDS and all those things. As much as maybe a lot of them might have died and they blame it on their uncle, like the traditional Nigerian way, it's possible that quite a few number of our men and women, died. They blame the uncle or the aunt or
the village
other thing I heard the other day.
That's right.
Very strange thing.
That's
village people.
That's it.
Yeah. So. But anyway, we want to extend our condolences to those and warn everybody. Since you're already aware of this, spread the news among your relatives. To be careful, clean things the way it's supposed to do. Even if you have to spend a little extra money to buy a better water for now, please do, because if you're whatever pennies that you're saving could become something that can become catastrophic if cholera comes, and then you're going to spend a lot of money in the hospital and all that kind of stuff. So prevention is better than cure. So please, Nigeria, beware.
Prevention is better than cure. Viewers, are you listening to us here? We are with you in that situation, but we want you to please bring all measures to prevent this from spreading more. We're not happy it's now in Ogun State, but we could still prevent as much as we can. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Let's come to other stories. There's a small breaking news here. That we all know Dangote. Nigeria is known for crude oil and the production and all that. Now, Dangote came out last night and said that IOC, I hope you know IOC, that's the international, the agency that administers oil production, crude oil production. The IOC is trying to sabotage crude oil supply in Nigeria. Dangote is making that whistle, that scream. Guys, I don't know if you all following the story. He said about 655 barrels of oil that is being produced daily. There's a plan to make sure that doesn't work. There's a plan to make sure IOC, International Organization for Petroleum and all that, is trying to stop that production at that level of production, the 650,000 barrels per day. So what that means is he's blowing this whistle because it will affect us eventually. It will affect a lot of things. It will affect Nigerians. It will affect people, Africa too. So, guys, I don't know what you have on this, but this is what Dangote is bringing our awareness to. IOC is frustrating the rollout of petrol production. Raji, do you have that story?
Can I ask a question? Okay. Raji, go ahead.
Okay. Now, you see, when I heard that some oil companies are leaving Nigeria, I looked at the oil companies that have been in Nigeria since 1956. And I Googled and found out that Shell, Mobil, Chevron, Total all have refineries. This group of companies have been operating in Nigeria, and none of them have any refinery in Nigeria. So all that they are doing is to extract our oil and not do any development in the country and devastate our environment without paying any compensations. Now, coming to Dangote and his, there must be an international conspiracy against us, because for more than 20 years now, we don't have any functional refinery. We've been buying finished products from abroad, and in fact, I read about a month ago about some European countries banning the sale of substandard petrol products to Nigeria.
Okay.
You see, but so it means that they have been selling us substandard petroleum products all these years, and they have been making humongous profits from us. Now, for Dangote to start at 650,000 barrels per day refinery,
production. Yes,
it means then that even the 450,000 that we had put aside for local refinery, which we have been exporting and doing trade the butter for all these years, those companies who have built refineries waiting for Nigerian oil to come do not have any business anymore, and they are going to shut down.
So
by all means, they will have to frustrate any refinery working in Nigeria.
Okay,
I understand where it's coming from.
Thank you, Raji. You really understand this. You said it well. Viewers, we are talking about something that matters. You know, when such topics are brought up, some people feel, what concerns me? But Dangote is doing this. It will eventually concern each one of us. George, you had something to say earlier on. Let's hear you.
Because my question is, why is Dangote, who is refining oil locally in Nigeria, what does he have to do with the international oil companies that are coming together to stop? Already, we are deficiting in the number of barrels of crude oil we're supposed to be sending out. And maybe it's because of the bunkering or whatever. We are deficiting internationally already. And secondly, the production of oil in our country is higher than any other country in the world. So why is Dangote, who is in Nigeria, now being stopped by an international oil companies? How are they going to be able to do that? If Dangote can get his oil from our crude, buy it in naira like we are suggesting, and then refine it for local consumption, what does the international market have to do with Nigerian consumption? So what I don't understand how that is working. Number one is, we can locally decide to sell our oil to our own local refinery, which is Dangote right now, and then sell it back to the to the people in naira. And then so I don't understand how the system will. Yeah, go ahead, please.
What they are doing is they are deliberately frustrating the refinery efforts to buy local crude. And how they are doing that is they are jacking up the premium price above the market price. Did you understand? So putting up the premium price above the normal market price frustrates his production.
My question again is, if Nigeria invested in Dangote's refinery, you know that, don't you? They put a lot of money towards the building of that refinery. You know that, don't you? And the $3 million, the 3 million or whatever amount of money that he borrowed from the central bank is still in question. He's been trying to reach out to Tinubu to quiet him, to quiet the whole entire thing down. So what I don't understand is, why can't we control everything internally? The oil belongs to Nigeria. The refinery is Nigerian. Why can't we now sell directly to the man, and then refinery also in naira and sell it in naira? I don't understand how external companies will come and frustrate our local refinery, which the Nigerian government is part of the investment.
George, is okay, because you don't understand. There's a rudiment around that whole line. Like I said, the premium price, what they do is they jack up the premium price. There's a premium price for oil production, and that affects the market price. So, or maybe you I don't know.
You don't get it. Excuse me, hold on.
I understand what you said.
Pay attention. In the United States of America, when the oil prices are going up, they decide to increase from their reserve, and it stabilizes oil prices in the US. You know that, don't you?
Oh, okay, yes, I had that.
Yeah, they do that, though they belong to OPEC.
Okay.
But locally, what they do, when the prices start going so high, they will increase their local oil that they refine locally. What it does is stabilizes the price and makes it a little lower than international prices. So my question again is, Nigeria can make a direct contract with Dangote, supply him directly in Naira instead of going through the international market. A lot of countries are doing that.
Maybe we've not come to that that arrangement.
Can I get in here?
Okay, get in, but let's
now according to OPEC, Nigeria's allocation is about 2.something million barrels a day. Then for local consumption, there's supposed to be a 450,000 barrels a day that will have been used for local consumption, which will be spread between our refineries. But I don't think Nigeria's production now is up to 2 million. Now, I also don't know how far into the future that Buhari has mortgaged our oil production.
That's one question that needs to be answered. Yes, you're right.
So
it's possible. Yes. It's highly possible, Olankaraji, that Buhari actually sold a lot of our oil ahead of time, and that money is unaccounted for, because that is one of the things that they are hiding currently in the government. How he mortgaged our country, the monies that he ahead of time got paid for the oil that he's still doing. So most of the time now, we're only producing about 1.6 instead of 2 million. Okay, so the likelihood now that some of that thing that is allowed internationally is being given to pay off the money that they have ahead of time paid Buhari. So it's very likely. We need to find out and expose that truth.
Okay. So now I'd also put this question to an international lawyer at one point. That you see, according to international law, if a government has an agreement, a contract with another company, another government comes in and finds out that the agreement was patently out of favor to the country, was not in the interest of the country, simple equity demands that the agreement be questioned. Because if I'm having an agreement with you, and you know that the agreement I'm having with you is too much in your favor, and you think you are lucky and you go on with it, there should be there can be a review of that agreement when another body comes in to take over the responsibilities or the whatever of the former government. And therefore, any agreement is not necessarily set in concrete. But eventually, we have to go to arbitration. And then the government have a right to protect their own internal to protect themselves against a bad contract gotten in by a previous government.
Thank you very much.
You have to come to equity with your hands clean.
Okay.
If I have a contract with you that is openly unfair to me, you can't come and tell me that because I signed it, it is still binding. Because the new party has come in.
Anyway, we are following that story, and our eyes will be there. Viewers, you are tuned into our program, Monday program, SSM, Between the Lines. Joining us from Moscow, Russia, is our coordinator, Godwin Ibe. Dr. Godwin, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Good
to see everyone. Thank you viewers for tuning in. Thank you.
We're glad to see you. Let's stay on hold, guys, and go on this small break. We'll be back. Lots of things to still talk about. So see you on the other side. Thank you.
In a world where news flies around every minute, you need the ability to relate and connect with what matters and stay up to date. Schengen Story Media News Echoes program is Africans in Diaspora and at Home's leading English news network, one of the most trusted, respected sources for news updates on current affairs as they affect global Africa.
your new week, fuel your success. SSM invites you to kickstart each weekday with our news update, Between the Lines, featuring the week's top news and analysis, and the most attention-grabbing lines, Deciphering World Event.
Between the Lines, guys, Between the Lines, we're welcome. Viewers, you're welcome to Between the Lines, Monday, 24th of June, 2024. It's good. Man, Godwin is with us. Godwin, let's get this update. Lots of news flying from Russia this time. The death toll of this attack on churches and synagogue. We had, as at this morning, it has risen to 20. Let's hear that story of what's happening. Gunmen going on rampage. Coordinated attack in 2 places, 2 cities. Tell us, Godwin, what's the story there?
Yes, it was a tragedy occurred yesterday, where some cowards who happen to also be terrorists decided to go into a Orthodox church on the celebration of the Holy Trinity to kill innocent people, including an old priest. It's a very sad day, and we mourn with the victims. There was a counter-terrorist regime which was set up yesterday. It has been lifted today, while the investigative committee is still looking into the matter. We know very well who the victims are. We can guess who the client is, but we still have to establish the customer, because in cases like this, the client may not always be the customer, and the victims are not always the client. They are trying to look into the case, where the funding was, who made the order. But one thing we can all get clear from this is that they're all cowards. They're all cowards. They're all terrorists, and no matter what they hide behind, whether it's religion, nationalist sentiment, they all have one single goal, and that's to kill as many innocent lives as possible, and especially the weak and those that do not have protection. So it's a sad day, and we are still looking into it.
Okay, Godwin, we got this update also that one of Putin's, I think, a secretary in the United Party, it's Putin's party in that part of the country, he has his 2 sons partake in this raid. Is that true? Mangomed or Marif? I don't know.
Magomed, this is the MMA fighter from Dagestan.
Yes,
there are reports that the
2 of his sons,
2 of the terrorists, not his sons, 2 of the terrorists were schooled in his father's school. That's the MMA fighter. He has an academy for mixed martial arts. Okay. And but I think Magomed has come out to condemn and to show his condolences to the victims. I don't know if he outrightly condemned it, but I know he's expressed condolence. Some people said his statement was slippery, but I think considering the ties to his father or whatever, I really don't know what's going on there. I think with time he'll be more clear with his statement, but not that it's like Putin's friend or something like that. He's a well-known fighter who beat McGregor. What's his name again? Irish guy who is very popular.
And he's a member of the party.
Tyson Fury? Is it Tyson Fury? Fury?
No. It's this popular Irish popular MMA fighter that Magomed beat.
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay. Thank you very much, Godwin. I don't know if anybody have any question on that. I think we can move on.
Yeah, I do. I want my special condolences to the people that lost their lives. We don't want to hear about such tragedy and such death. It's so bad. But my question is, the way they were putting it on the news, it seemed as if that this thing was against Christians and Jews. Do you get that sense in? Because this is what is being reported, that it was orchestrated possibly by the Muslim people against the Jews and the Christians because of the targets and how systematic it was. What do you have to say about that?
It's actually a very good question. Russia is a country, a multinational, multi-ethnic, multi-religious country. It's a true federation. Regions have the right to choose their language, their religion, their way of life in particular regions. And we all live together in one federation. That's why it's called the Russian Federation. It's a true federalist country. So they even have their own police. They have their own things. Some things are allowed that may not be allowed in other regions. And their leaders is usually of the same tribe, belief, and who rules them and reports to the central. So and basically all the leaders are usually loyal. There's no conflict. Basically, you don't see any public rift between in Russian power structure. But obviously, the terrorists are cowards. Like I said, they are hiding behind this religious sentiment. They try to sow rift. But there's really no conflict between religions in Russia. Real religions and nationalities. We lived for centuries in Russia with different nationalities and regions. And they are ruled by their leaders and have their own federalist system where they have access to their own resources, decide how they want to live, and only give a percentage to the central. So there's really no conflict.
But in spite of that, whenever something like this happens, there's always a message and there's always a reason behind it. And most of the time, we might not know it at the very beginning. But the type of attack and the way that it was orchestrated and put together is looking this way. Yeah. Because I don't think, for them to target a mosque and a Christian place and all that kind of stuff. We're not saying who started it or who paid for it or whatever the case might be. Through investigation, maybe the truth will come out, if you don't start blaming America again, but anyway, I just don't want, I just want to make sure because there is a message being sent. There's a message being sent.
There's a religious undertone. But the point is that does it reflect the mood of the society, of the majority? There will always be a rift-raft, a fringe element in a society.
Definitely.
But it doesn't reflect the mood of these regions that are predominantly Muslim. They live in peace. They marry 4 wives. They respect all their sharia.
They marry 4 wives. Whoa!
Yeah, I mean, in Moscow, for example.
I'm coming to be in that place.
Sorry. Let me give you an example. In Moscow, sorry. Let me just add this. In Moscow, for example, it's crazy. You can't have 4 wives. When you're married, you can't be married on that. But in these Muslim religions, in republics, for example, you can do that, and that's absolutely fine because they have they have a real federalist structure.
Okay. Oh, good. Thank you.
Massive Mark, we find you a city to go to.
Yes, guys. Yes. That's a city to go to. All right, viewers, you're still tuned to our program, Between the Lines Monday. Guys, let's come to an issue that is also burning in Nigeria. It's serious, and that is the proliferation of arms and ammunitions is becoming a critical thing. I'm trying to bring out the video here. People are moving arms and weapons, and it's getting out of control now. Today, we saw a woman from Kasala. Let's see this video.
Stay one house.
Okay, that's just one of it. That's not a very recent video anyway. Now, those arms you see there are coming from America. Somebody loaded them up in a cargo, in a container, and brought them into Nigeria. And we know that this is the root of all the insurgency, unknown gunmen, bandits, all these things, miscreants we have in our society. This is their source of power. Once they have this thing on them, they feel like they own the world. So, gentlemen, let's talk. George, I see you open your mouth. But I'll start with the lady. Diva Fiona, how do you feel when people have access to bringing arms like this, guns and ammunition?
I mean, if somebody brought in arms and ammunition like that in that kind of volume, I presume that it's something that went through customs. I mean, it didn't just drop in Nigeria from somewhere. It came through a channel, right? So, I mean, so there's obviously a case to answer there. That there's been an underground dealing in arms in Nigeria for years and years is not news. Do we all know people that carry a gun or two? Absolutely, because people kind of feel, well, they're not safe, so they should have a gun at home and everything. So this is quite a common thing. I mean, I don't know, in Lagos in particular, and I'm sure it happens a lot in the East, that people have guns. So obviously the concern is that obviously when this when in this kind of volume, bandits and, as you said, unknown gunmen get access to, but we realize that unknown gunmen are not just people that are just, they're being funded by a structure, a very wealthy structure. It's not I'm not funding it, you know what I mean? It's not, you're not funding it. So it's being funded by a structure, and that structure is the same structure that has brought those. So it's not, so for me, I think it's almost quite self-explanatory that there will be this, because it's the money that brings the guns, it's the money that supports the terrorists, unknown gunmen, etc., etc. Is the money that supports all that. It's not just a lowly guy in his shed thinking about you. It's not. It's clearly a structure. So for me, I just think that it's like a cycle. So I don't think, you know. So my own personal, I'm not surprised. I'm not. You know, it's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
This is what it is. Thank you, Fiona. Being a lady and talking like this shows you really understand. George and Godwin, that seizure you see there was done in the terminal in Port Harcourt, and that was what happened. Now we talk about guns. Yes, people can have guns, but these guns are not licensed. They're not registered. They're not. I mean, people just have them have them in their homes and around. Somehow that doesn't, safety is not the talk. George, let me hear you. What do you think about this?
Well, I mean, what can we say about that? That's only 1% of the guns that they have in Nigeria. When you really think about it, who are the ones funding these terrorists, are giving them ammunitions that even Russia is not using against Ukraine, as sophisticated as that war is? But these people are carrying weapons that, you know, like, that is not even being allowed in some of the war fronts, and they're bringing it into our country. And most of these, when our local police officer or military encounters these terrorists, they have more superior weapons than those local forces. So what would you say about that? What would you call them? You know, where are the guns coming from? So this is just something that happened. You know, I guess indeed it's bad. They found out. But what are the ones that we can't even find out? You know, what about the weapons that might be sent? You know, these people that are going over there and negotiating with them, the terrorists, the Boko Haram and the rest of them. You know, how do we know? Where are they getting the money to get all these weapons from? So this is just part of it. This is part of our problem. But our bigger problem is what's happening in the north today. And some of these animal rearers that are carrying cattle all over the place, who feel that animals are more important and more valuable than humans. This is what we're seeing over there.
This is what we're seeing. Godwin, also added to that, today we had a situation where a woman was caught with bullets, lots of it. Gun bullets, lots of it. And she openly said, she was speaking in Hausa. She said she's a smuggler for a notorious gang in the north. What the people they call, you all know those names, they call them. Let's see the video. Let me not talk about it.
aje wayan ki ajiya, sa wayan ki a mota. Kowa aje wayan shi. Zaki aje wayan, zaki aje kowa aje wayan shi. Kowa aje wayan shi tukunna.
Okay, let me. Anyway, what you have there is now we can talk. Godwin, this is it. We have this whole big movement of guns and arms and everything, and it's happening in a country where you all know no regulation, nothing, no control. I mean, this could blow up to our faces because there are no arranged plan on all of this. I remember my father being an ex-army man. At the point, they all had to register their guns, you know, but we don't have that now. So what do you think could be the, what are we facing, Godwin? What's your take on this?
What would I say? The guns I'm seeing that they look like AK-47s.
Yes.
If my guess is right, then we can say so many countries produce AK-47. So many, and but they originally developed in the Soviet Union. The technology is now widespread, produced by Eastern European countries, and even the US, China. Everyone kind of makes a version of AK-47, but they are now more advanced guns. It's just that it's gas chambered and it's relatively versatile to produce, it seems, considering the many countries that produce and the availability of spare parts. Now, so it doesn't. I wouldn't want to wrongly accuse the United States of that. We have to be honest and factual when we make claims, whether we like the particular side or we don't like them. We have to be factual. AK-47 produced by lots of countries, originated in the Soviet Union. But what we know is that Russia has no interest in supplying arms to Africa through illegal channels. They have official channels to do that, and there's a high demand for them. Then they're number 2 in terms of global arms trade. Also, the problem with weapons in developing or third world countries is power vacuum and lack of auditing. So when there's lack of auditing, you have a lot of unlicensed arms. It's a very big problem because you cannot trace crimes easily. And then the second thing is when there's power vacuum in the country. Power vacuum takes many forms. And in Russia, for example, power vacuum isn't a thing we like in Russia. Many countries tolerate this power vacuum. For example, United States have toyed with power vacuum, for example, training ICs or indirectly sponsoring Hamas, for example, when they were still not really organized as they are today. Russia doesn't tend to do that. They work more. For example, there's a difference between military contractors, private military contractors, and mercenaries, for example.
Yes. Let's not go off this whole talk. You're doing good.
No. I'm trying to explain. You're cutting me short. I'm not going off. I'm trying to say.
No, don't worry, my man. You will come to this. Because there are still some other things to talk about. I don't want us to leave the Nigerian context in this discussion. But let's move on because Raji has just come in. Raji was saying something earlier, and but the lines, the network went off. So, but he's back. Raji, it's good to have you.
Sorry,
back.
why aren't you letting me finish what I have to say about?
Because you're taking us off completely. And,
no, I'm not going off. I'm saying in Nigeria, it's connected to Nigeria. You are making an assumption without letting me finish. I'm saying that in Nigeria, where there's a power vacuum, first of all, there's illegal auditing. Secondly, there's a power vacuum in terms of national operators of security agencies and local operators. We have so many types of security networks which do not answer to a federal structure. So this power vacuum is one of the things that we in Russia don't play with, but some geopolitical powers play with that. That's why they can supply these arms to mercenaries as against military contractors or armed forces or state actors. It's very, very important, both for production and distribution. So please don't cut me short until you understand what I have to say.
But what you're saying, is it relating to somebody like Asari Dokubo in Nigeria? That
yes, of course.
military
How he gets
unit.
access. There are countries that don't like to play with mercenaries. because mercenaries answer, they are not loyal. They don't have a particular ideology. They answer to the payer, to the customer. The next customer that pays 2,000, the next one pays 2,500. They change, they switch. They don't have main ideology or loyalty to it. They don't. There's power vacuum.
But you won't use one case to cover all. It differs when it comes to.
There are so many examples. I gave examples. I gave at least 2 examples.
Okay. All right. Let's not linger long on this. It's okay. There's a situation also brewing. As of this evening, we just got the update too. Nigeria is there is this thing called, you all know that it's the consumers credit style. Ours has increased. That is, individuals are borrowing to stay alive, and it's creating a heightened inflation in the country. So federal government said our debt, our consumers credit has jumped this evening, 3.9 billion naira. And CBN is reporting that this will cause a lot of havoc in the future. Raji, this is why I want you to come in, because you've always said something on this. Consumers' credit has jumped. Yes. What will you say? People are borrowing to stay alive. People are borrowing more instead of working or getting paid for service and commodity. Let's hear you, Raji.
So, did you say billion or trillion?
Billion that I got this year.
It's trillions. It's trillion, yes. So, almost every Nigerian is a debtor.
Oh,
because there's no how much are you going to get from your salary or anything to chase 8 pieces of pepper for 500 naira?
Oh.
How many? So, but for the social net that is keeping a lot of Nigerians alive, and for the a lot of inflows from the diaspora that is coming into this country, I don't know how many of Nigerians are surviving. I was home for Ilea. After you have been able to buy your meat or your cow or your whatever, you still have the challenge of buying the ingredients. And I heard cases of families coming together so that they can all contribute to buy a single ram, so that it will be for 2 or 3 families instead of one family buying a ram for about 750,000 naira. So yes, I'm even surprised that it's just 3-point-something trillion. I'm
Ram
sure
is
it's much more than that. Sorry?
Ram is 750,000?
700, yes. 750,000 ram.
So how much is a cow?
And the testicles is not big enough to even consider it, because you measure the size of the ram by the size of the testicles. The testicles are not even dangling enough to.
George, Nigerians have resorted to taking loans as a means of survival, and CBN is reporting this. What will you say?
Well, it's very sad. It's very, very sad. You know, sometimes you don't know where you put your head in or where you put your hands on regarding what is concerning Nigeria. The government of APC as a whole has brought us to our knees, and now we are crawling on our bellies. And this is because of the 8 years of Buhari. Honestly speaking, I don't know what to speak, because the current government as it is, I think they are confused over what was handed over to them, in all honesty. Because this man mortgaged Nigeria and brought us on our knees and on our stomachs today. We're crawling. As a result, when we're talking about a lot of things like this crude oil production and all those type of things, we don't even know. The truth has never been told regarding how much we were mortgaged to international world. What countries that were paid off our money through loan that was taken from them, and they're still absorbing the crude oil to pay, to reconcile the debt being owed, the money that they gave. So we don't know. So it is very, very sad. And this is just, I don't know what to say, but the only thing that, the 2 things will happen in Nigeria eventually if we're not careful. Is either going to be a revolution or divine intervention. That is it. And that's the only savior that we'll have. A revolution, national revolution, to change the status quo, change the whole system of government in our country is coming to that point, because recently there was a report of how many kids that are dying of malnutrition by the doctors. What do you call them again?
We said that too. Yes.
Sorry, George. Sorry, George. I'm sorry to puncture your argument. In fact, whatever you're saying, no revolution is going to happen in Nigeria. And then forget divine intervention.
The reason why there's no revolution.
God has more serious people to attend to than Nigerians. Nigerians are blessed enough for just to stop bothering God with our problems.
Listen, I understand, but it's sad that you're not giving anybody any escape route. That means that it's going to be waka and die or chop and quench. That's what we're going to do in Nigeria right now.
When Nigerians are pushed to the wall, they dig into the wall.
They dig into the wall.
So there's not going to be any revolution. Not in our lifetime.
Thank you, Reggie. Fiona, the further said that federal government is doing more of debt servicing. We're just servicing debts that have been, George and Reggie talked about, who knows what Buhari has done, selling us out before our time. So all of this adds to real strong economic situations for people. Fiona, what's your view on this?
Yeah, I mean, of course, it's not a good situation, and I wonder about what the plans are, because I know that Nigerians love to live in hope. We've been kind of we've been brought up to live in hope. It's always, oh, it is well, oh, it will get better, oh, God is able. All those kind of we throw out all those kind of responses when we're pushed against the wall that Saraji has just talked about us digging into. I don't even know what the plans are for repayment, because when there isn't really a proper plan in place in terms of how people are going to be moved into employment, there's going to be sustenance in terms of food supply. I don't really know how that will come full circle and come out right, because I don't see how these debts are going to be repaid. I don't see it. I think one thing that this highlights to me is that the impact of the diaspora in terms of remittances to Nigeria is underplayed, and I think that the government doesn't really acknowledge the diaspora for the way they crutch up the whole Nigerian social system. I think we're doing such a phenomenal job, and I think that it's actually almost disregarded a lot, because I think that if they were not having these remittances, I can't imagine what situation a lot of people would be in Nigeria. And I think so I think that kind of speaks to this particular issue, that the amount of money that goes into Nigeria in remittances, we should the diaspora should be, in terms of the way the diaspora should be being acknowledged every day, I would have thought that would have been one of the top priorities for any government, really, for the social work that we're doing. So, it's unfortunate. I just hope this is not going to lead to suicides and all sort of stuff like that when the pressure gets on, because a lot of the loans that are being given out as well. So aside from people going in the bank, to get a loan from, say, First Bank, for example, is not easy. You need to come kind of fully loaded, collateral, etc. But a lot of these ones that people can just access on their phones, it's easy money. They get the money, and when they can't pay, it's a lot of pressure. I know someone whose sister got into that, and it's a family drama at the moment, because the kind of messages they send messages to all the family and friends. It's quite, so it can be quite a lot of pressure. So I hope that we're not going to see a knock-on effect from that for the people who are probably the lower end that are borrowing from these not quite orthodox means.
There obviously be knock-off effect. There will obviously be, because that's how it is. Easy come, easy go. Godwin, do you want to crop it up on this? What do you say?
Yes, I want to talk about the consumer credit scheme, which was launched, which will be attached to a national identification number. For those of us in diaspora, many of us can barely get a national identification number today.
I don't want to
because for whatever reason, the government has decided not to officially give all embassies. Maybe it's not available, but the consumer credit score will be attached to NIN, and it's made to target about 80 million people, or 25% of our population. Now, in the PwC rating that was released recently, I think it's interesting to see that Nigeria rose up in some places, some points, but generally we are not in the top emerging 7 markets as we should be. I think that most Nigerians are not on that credit because most of them are living on $1 a day in terms of family. But for the economically active people, it's a huge burden. I think Fitch has graded Nigeria B-, downgraded from B+ to B-, which means that it's not very lucrative giving Nigeria loans, and the risk to return ratio is now much higher than before. So that's basically the economic outlook of Nigeria in terms of credit.
Thank you. Guys, who's pulling the plug off? We are running up, but let's pull this plug with this one. I know Raji will say something. There's a party called Labour Party, and we follow Nigerian political parties here. We do, yes. Now, Labour Party had this friction last year. There were 2 Labour Party chairmen. There was the party called the Aburi, an old man that said he's the chairman, Aburi fraction, Apapa Aburi, his name is. Then there is the young man, the Julius Aburi. Sorry, Apapa Lamidi is the other man, and Julius Aburi is the young man. Now, today, guess what happened? In the heat of their fracas, their division, today they both came together and said they are now one. Yes, Labour Party says Aburi fraction and the Lamido Apapa fraction say they are now one. They held hands, they shook hands, but guess what they want to do next? They are now going to face off with their former political presidential candidate, Peter Obi. They said they are now going to face him off. There is a unified opposition now, and they are going to go against Peter Obi. We don't know what these party things are, but I mean, it's strange, all of this. So let's pull the plug. Tell us, somebody who has anything on this. What's your take? Anybody?
Yeah, I think it's all about money. It's all about money. And it's suspected that Peter Obi is not giving good account.
He doesn't have the money to give.
Or the monies that were paid either directly to him or by some channels. So
what are you talking about? Are you making this one up?
Good. The plug is being pulled off now. Now the plug is pulling off.
I'm just trying to find out. What did you just say about Peter Obi not giving an account? Is you talking about? Does Peter Obi handle any money with the organization? I mean, are you making this up, or is just something that came out of your head?
I understand that a lot of monies were paid directly to him.
By who?
By donors. By donors were contributors.
Yeah, I mean.
All right, guys. This is it.
Online Karaji. See, you always come with this fancy. Hold on. You have always come up with this fancy psychedelic type of ideology. You know, and
it is not on Onitsha market.
You see, you just keep mouthing off unnecessarily without any.
It is not a beer parlor.
Do you not understand what theory is?
George, don't rub off what he's trying to say. But
no. Because I mean, what news? Where is he getting that from? Where is he getting it from?
George, if the two,
I can tell you that it's all about money.
The two chairmen have come.
It's all about fun.
Is it they're going to make all the money that you are alleging that Peter Obi stole?
I think.
I didn't say he stole. Sorry. I was not saying that he stole. I never said he stole.
But what is wrong with receiving donations? The Obidati campaign received donation and they declared it openly and close to 600 million. I mean,
okay.
I think,
but not that was the campaign, the organization, not Obi himself.
I think
what is wrong? I don't understand.
For me, I mean, I sorry, Sir George, not to disagree with you or anything, but I don't think that what Siraji is saying is something that's also unbelievable. So I'm not even going to say, oh, did that happen or did that not happen? It might have, it might not have, it's whatever. But I even think that I think money is the underpinning thing. But I think that actually that somewhere in this agreement between these two factions, there is someone else, a different party, possibly APC or another, that is actually behind this. So I actually don't think that it's necessarily just a labor thing and there's an issue. I think that they're being strong-armed and funded by another. That's what I think.
Money is involved.
Absolutely.
One way or the other.
It's easy to assume that money is involved, but don't accuse Obi of receiving money.
Yeah, I mean that's
from
whatever.
I mean,
you know what? Listen, let me tell you something. That's what you call that. If you go now, very soon it will be on dictionary. Trumpism. Trumpism is drop that idea, drop it out there in the minds of the people. Whether you have collaboration or not, just drop it out there. Let them make their decision. You don't come out to accuse, but you just suggest. Well, I'm just alleging, and I believe, and then you drop out there, and people will carry it. And by the time it turns to the third person, it changes. Conversation changes, the climate changes, the atmosphere changes, and that's something that I'm trying to. Because I don't belong to any political party. I belong to individuals. I vote people. I don't vote party. That's who I am. And personally, I've known Peter Obi since I was a little boy. We all went to the same schools together from, all the way. I know that man. So any accusation of such should not even come close to him. Number one, he's too loaded for that kind of nonsense to mess up his image. I did politics with him. I did. I traveled with them extensively. So I can vouch for that man, not because he's a Labour Party candidate, but because of who he is.
Even his opposition do not accuse him of corruption. It's strange.
Look at
very
this.
strange.
Even
his opposition do not accuse him of corruption.
Let's find out. So what we do as a team? What we do as a team?
We'll find out the root cause.
Get into why.
That's a very, very dangerous tactics.
And they want to go against their own presidential candidate.
Neither Tinubu, neither Atiku. No one has accused Obi of corruption.
There is money involved.
Thank you.
You see how they do it. You see how they do it. Can I say something to you? Can I say something to you? Most of the thoughts that we have in our head is not our own. It is also just coming from outside. And that's how you do. You drop a thought and then you back off and let them carry it and go with it. And because bad news sells, by the time it turns to the third or the fourth person, the whole conversation has already changed. Oh, Obi stole about 10 billion from the
I never said, I didn't say he stole.
You suggested it. You suggested it.
That suggestion came from your own mind.
It's okay. We know he just said that and he didn't really mean that. So this is it, guys. We've come between the lines Monday, 24th of June. Thank you, Fiona, UK, London, UK. Thank you to Dr. Godwin, Moscow, Russia, and our man in Lagos, Nigeria, Dr. Ogbeni Olari Raji. Thank you, George. So until we come again on Wednesday, let's keep the pace. Go find out. Raji, go find out what is happening.
I'll do. I'm interested. I want to clear up this name.
Yeah, let's clear up this name. Go ahead. Clear this name. Bye-bye, guys.
Don't go yet, George. Don't go yet.
SSM News Echoes Between the Lines is a lively conversation program on news updates every Monday at 8 p.m. UK time, 8 p.m. Nigerian time, and 9 p.m. Central European time, giving real-time updates